A very warm welcome to you on the Gavel. I am Linda Akibe. It was a week of farewells and endings in the National Assembly as the 7th Assembly finally came to an end. Now, federal lawmakers tried to tie up loose ends by working on last-minute legislations. In a record set by the 7th Senate, lawmakers in the upper chamber passed 46 bills, and the House of Representatives finally passed the Petroleum Industry Bill. We'll give you details of this later on in the program. But first, let's take a look at the valedictory session in the Senate, which marked the end of the 7th Assembly. Inside the Senate chamber, federal lawmakers were joined by some prominent former lawmakers who came to take part in the valedictory session. For many lawmakers, this is the last time they would be sitting in this chamber. The Senate leader kicked the ball rolling, speaking on some of the achievements of the 7th Assembly.
This distinguished Senate is further invited to note that within the same period, a total of 115 motions were considered with resolutions approved.
The floor was thrown open as lawmakers reminisced on their experiences in the last 4 years and the lessons learned.
In spite of the difficult political and economic climate within which we worked, and despite our internal challenges, we can end this Senate convinced that we represented our constituents and Nigerians with the most noble of intentions and to the best of our abilities.
We have never had any crisis. We work as a family. We work as a group that are looking for the progress of this country. And I believe whoever happened to be part of this Senate, part of the 7th Senate, will be proud to be a Nigerian, will be proud to be a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Mr. President, 580, 591 bills. If we were to develop a process by which, if a bill goes through third reading and goes to another house and could not complete the process of passage before the expiry of the life of the House of the Assembly, we have to evolve a system by which the next Assembly carries it on as if it is an unfinished business. That way, the resources, the energy, the hard work that has been used, to produce these bills don't go to waste. That is a very important thing. We have to look at this. The Red Book is not cast on stone. It's 16 years old. It is time. It's a little bit jaded. It's time to review it, Mr. President, so that Nigerians will get the full benefit of the hard work being done here.
Despite the achievements of the 7th Senate, the upper chamber did not get around to enacting one critical law which Nigerians expected they would, the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB. The bill was immersed in controversies and lawmakers could not resolve the grey areas in the bill.
As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the biggest, regrets I have, as somebody from the South, is the non-passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill. But, minority will always have, a say. Majority will always have their way. Those from the northern part of the country had a wrong opinion about the Petroleum Industry Bill. They see it as, another opportunity to be able to empower the oil-bearing communities. And so all attempts to persuade them fell on deaf ears. And they have the numbers because when we're dividing the country into states, into constituencies, they had more.
But let me tell you one thing in the PIB. There is a section in that PIB where it says that the oil companies that are within that host community should pay 10% from their profit after tax. But that 10% is also tax deductible. So if it is tax deductible, that means money that is supposed to be taken to the Consolidated Revenue Fund is now going to be shared to the host community. So now instead of having third tier of government, we have now fourth tier of government. That means federal, state, local government, and host community, which is against the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So things of that nature will have to be x-rayed, will have to be sieved, and then we take action on that.
The Senate did not also attend to reports of some critical investigations, namely the report on the probe of the immigration recruitment tragedy, the report on investigation into the management of fuel subsidy, as well as investigation on the mystery of dead bodies found in Ezu River in Anambra State, the Malabo oil field transaction probe, an investigation of the management of funds in Nigeria's embassies and foreign missions. No explanation has been given on why the reports were not considered, despite months of investigations. All this belong to the realm of history, and it is left to the incoming 8th Assembly to resurrect these reports, do justice to them, and learn from the mistakes of the 7th Assembly. The 7th Assembly has ended after 4 years of lawmaking, oversight in the executive, and intervening in national issues. As the 7th Assembly ends, the 8th Assembly is about to begin. But what should be the focus of the 8th Assembly, and what should we expect from the election for the seat of the principal officers of the National Assembly? We sat down with a politician and Delta State governorship candidate in the 2015 elections, Mr. Otega Emeho, who spoke to us on these issues.
We just came out of an election that emphasized change. The whole country was together, that look, enough is enough, and they elected a president that everybody knows, is going to bring change. His lifestyle, his leadership that we know is totally at variance to what has been happening in this country. We have issues of corruption, insecurity, unemployment, lack of infrastructure. So much challenge is facing this country. Look at the last week before his inauguration. The country was in chaos with fuel queues, zero fuel, power, electricity down to less than 1,300 megawatts. Without power, water was becoming a problem. So everything was about collapsing. So Nigerians' expectations are very high. And how does the president govern? They govern by the laws that the National Assembly will make. So the challenge, even though the president is the one that will govern this country, we need a very vibrant, very sensitive, very proactive National Assembly that will support him. There are certain things that he's going to do that the National Assembly need to act very quickly to give him the support that he requires. If he's going to address insurgents quickly, he may need some extra empowerment to do that. If he's going to declare emergency on infrastructure or even fuel subsidy or stuff like that. So we are looking at a National Assembly that will be up, and running on their toe always, because the president wants to deliver and he needs their support.
With the end of the 7th Assembly, by next week, Tuesday, the 8th Assembly is expected to resume. Now, one of the first things to be done in the 8th Assembly is the election of the principal officers, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives. The battle for the seats of the principal officers have been fierce. We're looking at the elections which will soon hold in the National Assembly. What do you think it is going to look like?
They are both APC. I mean, the candidates that are contesting are all from the APC. APC should produce their best to take up that position. And even today, I think, was it your channel? I had Senator Saraki being interviewed, and he was very upfront as to the kind of things that he would do. I think earlier on, Senator Lawan has also gone through that kind of. So they're exposing the kind of leadership they are going to provide at the Senate. It's healthy. Let's keep watching it. We believe they are talking now to other senators from the PDP and from among the APC. Ultimately, one of them will emerge, and I think any one of them that emerge, that is the choice of the senators. You see that even the president has also said that, look, he's giving them a free hand to choose the best. it makes sense sometimes when the party says that, look, this is the criteria for choosing who should be at the leadership of the National Assembly. But if that can't work, let the best come out.
Now, looking at the Senate, the seats, the principal officers, the people who are contesting for the seats of the principal officers are actually formidable politicians. They're ranking lawmakers. This is going to be a very, very fierce, election. Now, what will be the role of the party in all this?
Truly, the party has a right, because of balancing, of positioning, because of ensuring federal character, ensuring that, look, all the zones at least are strategically positioned. It makes sense a lot to encourage certain zones or to state that, look, certain zones should produce certain positions. After all, the president is already from the Northwest. Okay, so you won't give Northwest again the Senate president, for example. So things like that usually help democracy. So it is not a bad thing on its own to indicate that certain positions should come from certain zones. But in this instance, I'm not aware that the party has actually designated a particular candidate to be the Senate president. Maybe you are watching certain body language. I'm not aware. But I think that the two contestants are very strong, very experienced, and they are talking to their colleagues, and I believe that is healthy, and finally one of them will emerge.